You belong on every ground your feet grace, so don't ever feel out of place. Take up space and belong. This earth is your birthplace. Okay, so since I did best worst anime protagonist, I want to do worst best anime protagonist. Saitama is my number one. I know that he's not supposed to be taken seriously and like stuff like that, but when it comes to what protagonists have, I don't feel like Saitama has it. Like the leadership capabilities, the motivation, the inspiration, and all of those things. Yeah, people look at him as strong and they want to be just as strong as him. So Genos pretty much makes himself his student, even though Saitama isn't actually teaching him anything. And I know y'all gonna be like, well, it's supposed to be like that, like it's making fun of whatever, and I get it, but to me it just don't, they don't sell it. I don't know how many times I have to say it. To me, they don't sell it. Didn't make me want to keep watching the anime. The only reason why I finished it was to so I could cosplay some women characters that I saw in there. That's it. Otherwise, I would not have watched it. But I like to look at anime that I'm a cosplay so I can kind of get a feel of who the characters are. That's the only reason why why I finished One Punch Man, because it was somebody that told me to watch it and I was trying to give it a chance. And I did. I've watched it a couple of times. Like when I say I don't like somebody, it's not like, it doesn't come from nowhere. I try to give these characters a chance. I try to give these anime a chance. I watched them more than once, not just one time and be like, that's right. The only one that I did like that was Naruto. Absolutely not will watch that again. I will absolutely not watch that again. Absolutely not. The only one that I would absolutely not, and Dragon Ball, I would absolutely not watch that either. But Saitama just boring to me. Like, it don't be given. The characters around him are not interesting enough to make me like him. Like, it just don't be given. I don't like him. Number two, Yuki Cross from Vampire Knights. And I'm gonna do another video about this, talking about like anime that creep me out, that like make me cringe. I'm gonna do a video about that. This girl disgusts me so much, and not just her. Kaname Zero, I kind of feel like was just thrusted into the drama, like they just thrusted him into the family drama. But that anime period is disgusting. A lot of anime be problematic. That anime right there, though, gross, absolutely gross. And she just was annoying to me. Kaname. Staying on task with what a protagonist is, I feel like Yuki kept hindering the story from progressing sooner. Like I feel like because of her, the story took longer to progress, and it kind of felt like she was just getting in the way instead of, you know, doing her part as a protagonist or whatever. And I know that maybe that's how her character was supposed to be written, but they prolonged that story just to tell us that they were sister and brother, and it was stupid. But when it comes to the qualities I feel like a protagonist is supposed to have, I don't see a lot of that from her. I feel like she hinders things a lot. Um, she keeps sticking her nose in and stuff, getting herself in dangerous situations, and Zero having to save her and stuff like that. Like she just was getting in the way to me, and I don't feel like, and I feel like because of that, she wasn't a good protagonist. But number three is Maka from Soul Eater. Y'all probably gonna be like, why you just like, I don't know. I don't really see people talk about Maka like that. I feel like when it comes to what a protagonist is, I feel like there were a lot of things missing in Maka. Um, I feel like she was very self-absorbed. She was self-centered. She was self-righteous. She thought she was better than a lot of people and that people were beneath her a lot of the times. A lot of the times she didn't listen. I felt like Soul would give her like really good advice when it came to like fights and stuff like that. But because she thinks she knows better than everybody, she wouldn't take his advice a lot of the times. And she would end up getting him hurt instead of listening to him sometimes. I will give Maka credit for the way that she was with Krona, like not giving up on him, going to save him even when he betrayed them. And she also had her moments when it came to Soul, but I feel like for the most part, Maka was about herself. And even when it came to like her daddy, like the relationship between her mom and dad, I understand when you're a child in a situation like that, it affects you too. But at the same time, Spirit was really trying to be a good father to her, and she was very like judgmental of him. She wouldn't forgive him or whatever and stuff like that. And she just, I don't know, made him seem foolish. Like, it's so many anime dads that were terrible dads to their children, but one thing I can say is Spirit tried, unlike Gene Freaks. And I feel like Maka just wouldn't give him a break. I do feel like she grew toward the end of the show, but like for the very like for a majority of the show, she was very insufferable to me, and she just got into unnecessary trouble that she wouldn't have gotten into if she would have just listened and stopped thinking that she knew better than everybody else. It's a lot of characters on Soul Eater that I really like though, and I like the storyline. I like a lot of what happens on there. It's funny to me. I like, just like Krona too. Krona got on my nerve too. He got on my nerve as well. But Maka got on my nerve. She was just so insufferable. Like, poor Soul. Poor Soul. Because he went through a lot with her. Had to deal with that constant nagging and wanting to be the best and looking down on people. But like, what did you do to make you feel like you was that nigga? What did you do? She didn't do anything. Hug Krona, stepped over his little circle in the line, hugged him. I would have much rather, and I know y'all gonna be like, what? He kind of boring. I would have much rather Soul be the protagonist, and I thought he was going to be because the name of it is Soul Eater, but it was her. Like, I kind of wanted him to be maybe even Black Star, because I kind of feel like Black annoying, but his storyline was interesting to me. I wanted to know more about him. Also Tsubaki, I wanted to know more about both of them. I love Soul Eater. Let's not make a mistake. Like, I love the anime. I just do not like Maka. I feel like if we probably knew more about Maka, maybe I would have been more willing to be patient with her and to accept the fact that, okay, she's like this for this reason. But I didn't really get what I wanted from that character in order for me to understand her, because I can dislike a character but also understand why they are the way that they are, kind of like Takamichi. I understood why he was the way he was and also his purpose in that anime. Number 4 is Yuchiro. Is it Yuchiro from Yuchio? Yu-Gi-Oh? Was his brother named Yu-Gi-Oh from Blue Exorcist? I know he isn't the protagonist. Rin is actually the protagonist, but I feel like I see both of them as protagonists. So I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that Yukio doesn't have the qualities of a protagonist. I feel like he can. I just don't like him. That's all. I really and truly hated how Rin was getting ostracized and treated inhumane for being Satan's son when Yu-Gi-Oh was his twin brother. Like, this nigga was born with me. He older than me. He came out first. He came out the vagina first. But I'm the bad guy. I'm Satan's son. He's Satan's son too. Why y'all don't hate him? And like I said, I know he ain't the protagonist, okay? I like Rin. I like Blue Exorcist. I really felt bad for him. I felt so bad for him because he was forced to be pushed aside. He was forced like to be alone when he had nothing to do with what happened. Like the way that they treated him and stuff like that. And I know that Bond and them wasn't necessarily like, they didn't hate him. It was just the fact that he wasn't honest about who he was, and also he didn't ask for their help. That's why Bond said he was mad, because like, you tried to do this on your own, you didn't ask for our help, and I thought we was friends type of thing. But I feel like they disliked him from the jump because he was Satan's son. I do feel like Ren was a better protagonist, and of course he was a protagonist. I feel like Ren was more selfless. I feel like he was more compassionate. He wasn't judgmental. He didn't think he was better than everybody. Um I feel like Yukio thought he was better than everybody, and I feel like he was a little weak when it came to um like being possessed, and I feel like that came from his feelings toward his brother, like the low key jealousy or whatever. And I feel like in order to be a good protagonist, jealousy, even though it's a human emotion, cannot be a thing. Because it can cloud your judgment, like we saw in Blue Exorcist when he switched up when he was possessed, when he got them devil powers, he switched up. And I think that's why he's not a good protagonist, even though he's technically not the protagonist. He was self righteous too. He was annoying to me. Like, too braggadocious. Like, okay, you went to a special school. Okay. He was like paladin or something. Or like, was he. Did he become the paladin? Or was he like in training for it? I don't know. Did he take their dad's spot? I think that's what it was called. But it annoyed me because it's like, you got the training, he didn't. Okay, stop trying to make it seem like you better than him. You're not. You're Satan's son as well. You should be hated as well. And I did not understand. I'm like, does nobody realize that he is also Satan's son? Like, what's going on? I just didn't like how Ren was treated, and because of that, I put Yu-Gi-Oh on my list. Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know y'all know his name. Y'all know his name. Y'all know who I'm talking about. My fifth one is Legoshi from Beastars. Now, before y'all drag me by the hair, calm down, okay? Legoshi was very loving and kind. He wasn't the typical savage, and I don't like the word savage because of history, but for lack of a better word, he wasn't the typical savage. So he didn't have that aggression like a lot of them did or whatever. It was in him, but he was much more like laid back. You know, even though Legoshi was very intimidating because of his height, because he was a wolf, because of his height, the way he looked and stuff like that. He was kind. He was very kind, very compassionate, and I like that about him. But the obsession with the rabbit, the obsession, he was literally putting her before everything. I do feel like Legoshi got a lot of qualities to be a good protagonist. I feel like he could be a good leader. I feel like he was he could have been encouraging, he was motivating. I feel like was a positive influence. But I feel like his obsession with Haru hindered him a lot as a protagonist, as someone who everyone else should have looked up to. And he was getting into a lot of trouble because of her and kind of messing up his reputation. And I feel like that whole thing, his obsession with her, hindered him from being the protagonist that he could have been. He was attracted to that lady. He was attracted to that rabbit. Like, it was scary. It was a little scary because she was even uncomfortable by it a lot some of the time. Like, because he big. Like, you need to chill, bro. Back up. To me, Louis kind of made a better protagonist because he cared about the whole like student body. He cared about more people. I feel like Legoshi was very much in his own world, and he was very much worried about Haru protecting her and stuff like that. Yeah, he did also want to find the animal that was killing people or whatever. Um, but I do feel like if he wasn't as obsessed with her, he would have found him sooner. But I also know that in order for this anime to be paced the way that, in order for it to be good, it had to be paced a certain way and all of that stuff. I know what goes into writing because I'm a writer, but um I feel like it took away from his character to me. Number 6 is Kaz Khan from Neo Iyokio. Now, do I have to explain why he was a terrible protagonist, y'all? And I don't even assume that y'all like him. I assume that we all collectively feel the way that we feel about this anime and about him. It was so cringy to me. It was so cringy. Cringy. An anime with a black protagonist, and it was so cringy. Like, when it comes to what a protagonist is, I feel like they missed the mark with Cause because they were so busy trying to prove to us that he was black, rather than focusing on making him a likable character. I do feel like he was self-absorbed a lot of the times. He centered himself. All he cared about is his image and trying to be the number one. I forgot what it was called on there or whatever, but because he was so focused on that and entertaining this one girl and trying to oppress a girl and trying to be better than some other guys, that um they just failed to make him a good protagonist. And if it was he was supposed to be a terrible protagonist, I guess they um accomplished their goal. But I just thought the whole anime was pointless and trash. Poorly written, and it could have been great, could have been amazing, but it wasn't. I was excited to see it and I was let down. But that is my list of worst best anime protagonists. Let me know what you think about this list. Do you agree with me? Who would you add to this list? Um yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said, let me know what you think about this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye. Before you go, check out my website at srgrahamwrites and subscribe to my mailing list to get exclusive updates on works in progress, other news, and blog posts. Thank you.